Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something truly special. It's a classic, inspiring folktale called The Lame Horse and the Blue Horseshoe. We're talking about a discarded horse, a wildly magical journey, and a really profound look at what true wealth actually means. It's a story all about loyalty, kindness, and what happens when we look out for the most vulnerable among us. Let's jump right in. So here is the big question we're tackling right off the bat. What happens when a discarded, lame animal becomes a kingdom's absolute greatest treasure? It really sets the stage, right? We're stepping into this world of magical realism, where the useless suddenly become priceless, and where nature actually steps in to correct human cruelty. Okay, part one, a cruel master's discard. This is where our story kicks off. We meet a very wealthy, but honestly entirely heartless merchant named Sethwakar, and his prized, incredibly powerful white horse, Tufan. Let's look at the stark contrast between our two main human characters. It is literally night and day. On one side, we've got Sethwalker. His whole philosophy is super transactional. You only feed the animal that earns its keep. Throw away the old or sick ones, period. But on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have a desperately poor woodcutter named Shaban. Shaban believes in unconditional compassion. To him, even a stray, injured animal is a guest, and sustenance is a divine gift meant to be shared. And man, Sethwakar's worldview is put to the test in the most brutal way. While they're traveling this treacherous mountain road, his prized horse, Tufan, slips. He falls into a deep ravine and completely shatters his hind leg. Now, after years of faithful service, carrying all those heavy loads, Sethwakar just looks down at his bleeding horse and says, "He is lame now. He is of no use to me now. Leave him out of the city in the wilderness. I will not waste food on him." No way, right? He literally just leaves Tufan there to die. Which brings us to part two, the woodcutter's true kindness. This is where the story shifts gears from human cruelty to an absolutely unbelievable display of empathy as we meet our second main character, Shaban. Shaban is a 50-year-old woodcutter who, frankly, can barely feed his own kids. But when he stumbles across this dying horse, he doesn't just feel sorry for him. He takes massive action. He shares his only bread and water. He actually takes the turban right off his head to bandage the horse's wound. Then they limp that entire long road home together. And get this, Shaban actively chooses to eat half rations just to keep the animal alive, even renaming him Badal. It's a perfect example of how true kindness always requires some level of real personal sacrifice. And that sacrifice builds an incredible bond. It leads to this deeply emotional moment where Shaban tells Badal, "You are not an animal, you are my brother." And he says this right after a terrifying incident. See, during a brutal storm, a wooden bridge collapses and Shaban falls into a freezing, raging river. He can't swim, he's drowning. And Badal, despite having a broken leg, literally jumps into that treacherous water, grabs Shaban's shirt with his teeth, and drags him to shore. He risked his own life to repay the woodcutter's kindness. Just amazing. Okay, moving right along to part three, the magic of Ko-Akaf. Just as they settle into a peaceful life, a royal decree echoes through the city markets and everything changes. Here's the deal. The king's prized royal horse is gravely ill. The doctors say there is literally only one cure, and it's located in Ko-Akaf. What is Ko-Akaf? Well, it's a distant, incredibly dangerous, mythical mountain range. It's the only place on Earth that grows this special diamond-like bluegrass. Whoever brings it back gets a massive royal reward. For Shaban, this reward is his only shot at affording the medicine to finally cure Badal's leg. But come on, an old man and a lame horse making that journey? It sounds like an impossible quest. But sometimes the impossible happens. Seeing Shaban crying in despair, Badal aggressively starts scratching at the dirt. This leads Shaban to dig up an ancient buried iron box. Inside, a Nal. It's a magical blue horseshoe with the power to heal broken bones and grant the ability to run on air. But wait, just as they find this, Sethwakar, that cruel merchant, shows up at the hut, recognizes his old horse, and has his armed guards violently steal Badal back. So, under the cover of darkness, Shaban sneaks into Sethwakar's stable to rescue his friend. He nails that magical nail to Badal's lame hoof. Instantly, blue sparks fly everywhere, the broken bone heals up, and Badal is suddenly surging with this electrical power. And that sets off a truly thrilling escape. At night, they break out of the stable, with Badal literally leaping over a 10-foot wall, blue sparks trailing from his hooves. By morning, they're navigating a bloodthirsty jungle where Badal uses those magical hooves to physically kick a giant, roaring lion right out of their path. Midday rolls around, and Sethwakar is hot on their trail with guns. They are trapped at the edge of a cliff. Trusting each other completely, they leap into a bottomless ravine, and the magical Nowell lets Badal literally run on the air. Finally, by the afternoon, they reach Kohikoff and harvest that glowing blue grass. Exhausted but victorious, they make it back to the city. Let's look at part 4, the king's loyalty test. Shah Jahan hands over the healing grass for the king's dying horse. But before he can get his reward, Sethwakar bursts into the court. Sethwakar straight up lies to the king. He presents these fake legal documents, claiming Shaban stole his prized horse and the magical grass. The king is torn. He sees the legal paperwork, but he also sees the honest truth in Shaban's eyes. So he sets up a public test in the royal field to settle it once and for all. Who does the majestic white horse truly belong to? The wealthy merchant with the legal claim, or the poor woodcutter with a pure heart? This test perfectly captures the whole essence of our explainer. Sethwakar struts into the arena. He's got a leather whip in one hand and expensive sweets in the other. It's all about coercion and bribery, right? But then Shaban walks up. He has completely empty hands, tears streaming down his face, and just speaks simple words of love. It's a huge lesson. Animals, and really nature itself, respond to genuine affection, not forceful ownership. So how does it play out? Oh, it's so satisfying. When Sethwakar tries to bribe him, Badal remembers the abuse, rears up, and violently kicks Seth right into the mud. But when Shaban calls out softly, "My friend, don't be afraid," Badal runs straight to him and lovingly rests his head on his chest. Seeing this, the king stands up and makes a massive declaration. Animals never lie. Sethwakar is publicly humiliated, stripped of all his property for his lies, and Shaban is finally honored. You might think the story wraps up neatly right there, but there is one final, crazy twist waiting in the dark forest. This brings us to our final section, the ultimate act of forgiveness. As Shaban is riding home with his reward, he gets violently ambushed by a completely unhinged, vengeful Sethwakar and his men. Seth strikes Shaban with a sword, dropping him to the ground, trying to steal that magical blue Nayal. It leaves us with a really dramatic question. Will a loyal horse save the master who literally left him to die? What happens next is just breathtaking. Seth wounds Shaban, but before he can finish him off, Badal's magical hoof shoots out this blinding blue flash, knocking Seth backward. And then, drawn by the scent of blood, 3 fierce lions burst out of the bushes and surround Seth. His own men run away, leaving him for dead. But here is the absolute kicker. Even while bleeding from Seth's attack, Shaban feels mercy. He commands Badal to protect the very man who just tried to kill him. And Badal, totally loyal to his master's pure heart, steps right in front of the lions. He uses those magical blue sparks to fight them off and saves Seth's life. Talk about breaking the cycle of cruelty forever. Experiencing that kind of absolute, unconditional grace, it completely shatters Sethwakar's whole worldview. Trembling, he drops to Shabani's feet and says, "I repent today. All this wealth, all this pride, it's all a lie. The real wealth is loyalty." The villain of the story is completely redeemed by experiencing a kindness he absolutely, 100% did not deserve. And so our tale completes its arc. Shaban returns to his worried wife and kids, not just with a miraculously healed magical horse, but with a heavy bag of gold coins from the king. And because he is so deeply selfless, he doesn't just hoard it. He uses that royal reward to build a well, bringing clean water and prosperity to his entire village. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. If our true wealth is measured by our loyalty and kindness to the most vulnerable, just like Shaban was to a lame, discarded horse, how rich are you? It's a beautifully simple folktale, but man, it carries a mighty reminder. The love and compassion we put out into the world is exactly what we will eventually get back. Thanks for hanging out with me, and keep exploring.